Have you ever just stopped and wondered why your smartphone gets ridiculously powerful and cheaper every single year, but trying to buy a house feels like an impossible dream? Well, today we're diving deep into a really radical idea, a new economic operating system that's actually designed for our age of crazy fast technology. It's all based on a fascinating analysis that tries to solve this exact puzzle. So let's start by looking at the paradox itself.
All right, let's kick things off with that central mystery I just mentioned. A paradox that, when you think about it, kind of defines our entire modern economy.
This right here is the question at the very heart of it all. And it's something we all feel, right? On one side, you've got this incredible wave of technology making everything from gadgets to information super abundant and cheap. But on the other side, the things that really matter for a stable life, a house, healthcare, getting an education, the prices are just skyrocketing. So what on earth is going on here?
And this lays out the core conflict perfectly. We've basically got two massive opposing forces at war inside our economy. You've got technology, which is this exponential deflationary force. It wants to make things cheaper, more efficient, and available to everyone. But then you have our money system, which is linear and built on debt. For that system to even survive, prices have to go up. It needs inflation. The two systems are just fundamentally at odds with each other.
Okay, so let's pop the hood on this inflationary money machine and really see how it's engineered to fight the very progress and efficiency that technology is trying to give us. So why do central banks seem to be terrified of falling prices, deflation? Well, it all comes down to something called the debt trap. Our entire financial system is built on a mountain of debt. In a world like that, deflation is basically a death sentence. Think about it. If prices and your income are falling, but your mortgage payment stays exactly the same, eventually you default. To stop that domino effect from collapsing everything, central banks have one primary mission: create inflation, no matter what. And that brings us to some simple but kind of wild math. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that technology is making our economy about 3% more efficient every year. That's a natural price drop, a negative 3% deflation. But the central bank is aiming for a positive 2% inflation. So to get there, they have to first cancel out the deflationary effect of technology and then add their 2% on top. That creates this 5% gap of new artificial money that gets injected into the system year after year after year. So the big question is, where does that 5% of new money actually go? It definitely doesn't just show up in our paychecks. It follows a principle that economists call the Cantillon effect. Basically, the new money flows to those who are closest to the money spigot. We're talking banks, big corporations, and the owners of major assets. They get to spend all this new money before it circulates through the rest of the economy and drives up prices for the rest of us. And here is the absolute crux of the issue. Our current monetary system is basically designed to hijack the benefits of technology. It captures those deflationary gains, the money you save on your cheaper phone, and it converts them into inflationary gains for scarce assets like real estate and stocks. It literally acts as a blockade, stopping the abundance from reaching everyone and channeling it into asset bubbles instead.
Okay, but what if we designed a system to actually work with technology instead of fighting against it? And that brings us to our next section: a proposed blueprint for actually harnessing all this abundance. The proposal is called the AI Chicago Plan. And what's wild is that the core idea actually goes all the way back to the Great Depression in the 1930s. It's just been seriously updated for the digital age. The goal is to completely rewire how money is created and handed out, using AI to manage the whole thing and deliver the benefits of technology directly to the people. So here's how it would work, broken down into 3 key steps. First, you enforce something called narrow banking. This basically strips private banks of their power to create money out of thin air every time they issue a loan. Second, when new money is created, it doesn't go to the banks. It gets distributed directly and equally to every single citizen as an abundance dividend. And third, and this is the futuristic part, an AI manages this whole process. It adjusts that dividend in real time to perfectly match gains in productivity, which keeps prices stable while everyone's actual purchasing power goes up.
Now, a system like this is incredibly powerful. I mean, it could potentially solve huge problems like wealth inequality. But that exact same power, the infrastructure you need to build it, comes with a really terrifying, almost dystopian risk. To really see the danger here, we can look at a recent real-world example. Back in 2022, when the Canadian government froze the bank accounts of protesters, that was what you could call clumsy tyranny. They had to call up private banks and order them to do it. It was messy. But in a world with an unchecked central bank digital currency, a CBDC, the government is the bank.
Control goes from clumsy to surgical. They could instantly turn your money off, program it to expire, or even restrict where and when you're allowed to spend.
So how do you prevent that nightmare scenario? Well, the system's architects propose what they call a digital bill of rights. But here's the key. It wouldn't be based on political promises. It would be built directly into the cryptographic code. This includes stuff like the right to hold your own digital keys so they can't be seized, a network that is totally neutral and doesn't care what a transaction is for, true privacy using zero-knowledge proofs, and a transparent, open-source code so everyone can see the rules. The whole idea is to make these rights mathematically guaranteed, not politically negotiable.
Okay, so let's imagine for a minute that we could actually pull this off. We could build in those unbreakable safeguards. What kind of world would this new operating system create? What's the ultimate vision here?
What's so fascinating is how this system completely flips a core economic idea on its head. See, right now, economists worry all the time if money isn't moving fast enough. They call it low velocity. But in this new model, a lower velocity of money is actually a feature, not a bug. It's a good thing. When your money is designed to naturally gain value over time, you become more careful. You save more, you invest more thoughtfully, and you automatically filter out all the wasteful, speculative nonsense in favor of real, long-term value. And that leads to this really profound shift in what our society values. In a world where you can't just get rich quick on speculative bubbles, the boring but essential stuff, actual infrastructure, becomes a top-tier investment. A water pipeline that provides a modest but stable return for decades is suddenly way more attractive than some risky tech stock. Capital would naturally flow towards projects that make our world more resilient, more stable, and more habitable. This slide just nails the deep psychological shift. Our current system is constantly screaming at you. Your savings are melting. Spend now, become a speculator in the stock market casino, or get left behind. The Abundance Republic sends a completely different message. It says, your work, your labor, has lasting value. Saving is a totally valid path to security. And finance? It should just be a simple utility, like plumbing, not some toll booth operator standing between you and your future.
And that, right there, brings us to the final critical question. The very same technology that could deliver an abundance dividend directly into the hands of every citizen could also be used to create an infrastructure of perfect, surgical, top-down control. So as we barrel forward into this new era, the choice we face is incredibly stark. Is this a blueprint for an unprecedented age of shared prosperity for all, or is it a blueprint for ultimate control?